Good evening, everyone. My name is Isaac, and I work with MTN. So today, it is a pleasure to share with you our journey doing DNSSEC validation in resolvers within our space. So for a very long time, the DNSSEC validation rate for Ghana stood below 30%. It was around 23%. And then Icann, Yazid contacted us one day to let us know that these are things that we could do as operators to help make the internet a very healthy and secure place. Apparently, for some time, we've been doing it, but when you do migrations and stuff, sometimes certain things are left to be done later, and sometimes it gets lost in transit. So we informed Yazid when he contacted us that it is not something that we are unaware of. We know what the value is, and that we will be getting back to activating it shortly. So after the initial collaboration, we went ahead to enable DNSSEC validation on some of our resolvers to do a test. And coincidentally, around the time we enabled DNSSEC validation, one of the popular myths about enabling DNSSEC validation kicked in. So we started seeing high latency. Latency, which was very small, was now increasing. And what was the change element here? Everybody pointed to the activity that was done on the DNS. So we had to roll back, and we did. But the strange thing was, after we rolled back, the problem persisted. The high latency was still there. So it means it wasn't the DNSSEC validation in the first place. It took quite some time because you need to prove beyond reasonable doubt that it is not the activity that you did that resulted in the high latency. So what happened was, as Yazid had mentioned, there is this continuous collaboration between Icann technical team and the ISPs. So they were in touch with us. We contacted some software developers who were familiar with the environment within which we were operating. Then we shared samples. We shared logs. There was back and forth, continuous troubleshooting. And then we realized that there could be something more to it than just the activity, because if indeed it was the activity that resulted in the high latency, when we rolled back, it was supposed to normalize, but that didn't. Eventually, we found that there was a bottleneck somewhere, whose occurrence happened to be around the same time that we did the DNSSEC validation. So once that was corrected, latency started coming back to normalcy. And then we waited for everything to be normal, and then we went full-blown on DNSSEC validation. Now, the good thing is, when we did enable DNSSEC validation, we were also a bit hesitant. We were trying to see if the things people normally talk about, we would experience them. What are some of the things that people talk about when you do DNSSEC validation? People think that it will bring heavy load on your systems. We didn't see that. People also think that when you enable DNSSEC validation, your utilizations on your upstreams will increase. We didn't see that either. People say that when you enable DNSSEC, it breaks your DNS. It didn't in our case. Or it wasn't as a result of it. You understand? Now, we've been doing this for a while, and looking at the scale of the infrastructure we manage, MTN Ghana manages its own in-house resolvers, unlike other providers who rely on open resolvers for DNS solutions within their space. It is good to know that the scale of MTN's resolvers is so huge that in a day we are talking about our resolvers answering over 30 billion queries from subscribers. So that makes it one of the very big infrastructure in Africa. After MTN Ghana enabled DNSSEC validation on all its resolvers, and then collaborated with other ISPs and telecom providers to do same in their environment, we realized that the DNSSEC statistics for Ghana shot up. So from 23%, Ghana's DNSSEC validation is now sitting at 98.9%. That is 99%, and we are almost there. I thought you appreciate. Yes. Now, if you look at Africa, Ghana is the country that has the most DNSSEC, that has the highest DNSSEC validation rate with the most samples. We have our brothers in Nigeria, Algeria, Egypt, South Africa, who have very high sample rates, but then the validation in their countries are still very low. And that is the essence of this talk, to let you know that it is something that we all can do. As we speak, the DNSSEC validation for Africa stands at 46%. It is a low-hanging fruit that we can all pluck to give our continent that posture we've always been looking for. So whilst we meet here and talk about this thing, I hope that those of us who go back and have the technical capabilities will go back and then reevaluate what you have within your space. DNSSEC validation is easier. It's the easiest of the two. We have the DNSSEC sign-in, which is normally done on the authoritative DNS. In our case, we run resolvers because of the number of subscribers we have, in excess of 20 million active data users. So that makes it imperative. If you are an ISP, you are a telecom provider, you should have the safety of your subscribers at heart. Once you enable DNSSEC validation, what you are in turn telling your customers is you value their privacy, you value their safety, and so you are making sure that every site that they visit is double-checked so that they will not be misled. It is a good thing to have, and anyone here can implement it without any issues in their country or in their respective domains. So what helped us to achieve this feat is the awareness that was created around DNSSEC validation. And I think that this platform also goes to re-echo that sense of urgency. Once we are aware that this is the state of our country, or this is the state of Africa, it drums home the urgency to get this thing implemented. It is not a difficult thing to implement. And the community is full of people who are willing and available to assist, as we observed in our journey towards enabling DNSSEC validation. So the collaboration should be key. We should also make sure that we do trainings. I might not know which particular DNS service or software you run in your network, but whatever you run, there is best practices that we follow. And so we encourage each one of you to go back, relook at what you are having in your network, and then enable DNSSEC validation. Today, Ghana has done it. Ghana looks bright. Brighter in West Africa, brighter in Africa. So as you go back, it is our hope that this journey that we've walked you through will relay some of the fears that you have been trying to avoid. Certain things in the technical domain are best left working as we normally assume. But if it comes to security, you don't know when somebody will exploit the vulnerabilities within your space to cause havoc. So if you don't have it enabled in your environment, this call is to you to go back, look at what we have done. The success story of Ghana should be an example to all of us to go back and then enable the NSEC validation within our jurisdiction. I'll end here, and if there are any questions, I'll gladly answer them.
Thank you very much, Yazid. Thank you much, Isaac. So that is the information we got from them about what we can provide as technical support to the technical community, and also the experience in DNSSEC validation. So now we have the floor open, and then we can go to the mic, and also people online can also ask the question. So we have a question from the room, so let's take it first, and then if you have more. Thank you. Over to you.
Thank you, Yaovi, and thank you, Yazid and Isaac, for this great work. I want to find out if you have developed a DNSSEC validation policy before you've done this, and have you encountered any issue with the validations with some broken sign zone? Because when you are doing the validations, it brings the issue of if there is a broken sign domain, okay, you doing the validations will not allow your customers to visit that website, which is great, but it can have some issues, and it can affect even the SLA you have with customers. So have you looked at this? Have you encountered this case, for example? Maybe for people to understand, because I see Yaovi is not getting me. Let's say I'm signing Yaovi.Africa. Yaovi, or you prefer Atoun.Africa. Okay. Then I forgot to renew the signature. So then my domain, DNSSEC speaking, is bogus. But you validating will mean that the people who are using your resolver will not be able to get to Yaovi.Africa. So which is correct, you are protecting them. But I would tell you, did I ask you to validate this thing for me? You are preventing me from doing business. So it may have some liability or legal implications. So have you thought about this?
Thank you, Alain, for this input. So before we get other questions, I want to ask Isaac and Yazid. Isaac first. How do you react to this question from the floor?
Yes, so what you asked is a valid question. And what normally happens is if your signing has expired, your certificate, your zones that you've signed has expired, the resolver will not be able to provide that information correctly to subscribers. It is a chain of trust thing. So once the chain of trust is broken somewhere, unfortunately, we'll have to drop that. But the catch here too is once you are signing your zones or you are signing your domain, it means that you understand the usefulness of this. And these things don't just expire out of the blue. You are giving notices. And so I believe that if in the faith of good practice, if you want people to respect the reputations you've built over the years, then it is part of your duty to also ensure that what you have being served from your authoritative DNS is valid so that we can also pass it downwards to customers. So in the event that what you do is not right, unfortunately, customers may not be able to access that resource. Thank you.
That is the answer. Thank you. I think we have another follow-up question.
Yeah, I think the question was trying to steer it towards policy. We know exactly what the challenge of this is. But we are saying because it will have impact on your customers.
I think the microphone is low.
Oh, okay, we're saying that because it will have impact, I don't want to raise voice, because it will have impact on your customers, it is worth your while to spend time on developing policy towards how they join and get a PIN as opposed to just do it. This is, I think, where the message was coming from. Thank you.
Yes. Okay. I think what we can get from the input is that you are doing a technical work, but there's important to take into consideration also other actors. So I think they are. Who is speaking, please? Oh, yes, go ahead.
No, you forgot me on the second part of the answer. So basically, thank you, Alan, for asking this very important question for the operation continuity. So I will respond on two sides. And first of all, I would like to even share some well-known cases that we have gone through. In the US, for instance, there is this very famous case of the NASA website that people could not access at some time when they were launching the satellites, simply because NASA signatures have expired, and Comcast, which is the largest operator in the country, was doing the validation. So customers from Comcast could not actually access NASA website. And at the beginning, they thought that the ISP was the one who was blocking, the customers to access that NASA website, why it was not their fault. So basically, it is true that unfortunately, when there is a mistake on the signing part, those who are validating will actually, feel the pain. And unfortunately, there will be the one that the customers will be blaming. I don't know if I could list other recent cases that we had in Africa, and Alain was also behind the scene trying to also help us. And this is why it is really important to highlight this aspect of the thing, because when it comes to an entire country, for instance, which has been doing the right thing, but they do not have a disaster recovery, policy in place. The engineers are not trained in how should we operate when we face such kind of situations whereby a critical, let's say the top level domain was signed, but there is a critical issue on the validation side. I won't list any country, but yeah, a country very close to Ghana has faced this very recently. So yes, what Alain is saying is important. And during our training, for instance, we teach the engineers on how they should put exceptions in the validation side. But we need to also go one step further by training the engineers in their operational policies to have a very well-described policy. And most importantly, they should be trained maybe every 3 months, every 6 months, in how to react when we are facing such kind of crisis. Otherwise, the services will be impacted. Thank you.
Thank you. Over to you, Alain.
Yes, just to add, thank you, Yazid. Just to add to inform our colleague here, again, thank for doing a great work. And then what I would suggest is that you have a policy, you describe what you are doing, you are doing the validations, then you provide a channel for customers. If you have this kind of issues, please raise your concern here, and then we will address it so that I think that could be sufficient.
No, I get your point. We've had a few issues with some customers in the past who were complaining that they were not able to access certain resources within the network, and we realized that it had to do with some of these things. So there are workarounds when the information gets to us. Those things are usually resolved.
Thank you. So I could not see a comment from the chat. Any other question from the room? Comment? I could not see because we have another session.